1500 Tage dauert mittlerweile der Angriffskrieg der russischen Seite auf die Ukraine. 1500 Tage, in denen Wolodymyr Selenskyj vom Schauspieler zum Kriegspräsidenten geworden ist. 1500 Tage, in denen so viel Leid über dieses Land gekommen ist, in denen die russische Seite Energieversorgung angegriffen hat, Wohngebiete, in der viele, viele Menschen gestorben sind und in der viele weitere Menschen auf der Flucht sind. 4 Jahre, etwas mehr Krieg, und trotzdem gibt dieser Wolodymyr Selenskyj nicht auf. Er geht in den Kampf mit denen, die ihn nicht unterstützen wollen, und er versucht, diejenigen um sich zu scharen, die ihn unterstützen wollen. Aber in den 4 Jahren ist alles nicht leichter geworden, weder mit den Vereinigten Staaten noch in der EU. Ich habe am heutigen Mittwoch die Gelegenheit gehabt, mit Wolodymyr Selenskyj ausführlich zu sprechen. 45 Minuten hat er mich empfangen in seinem Präsidentenpalast in Kiew, und wir haben über all die Aspekte gesprochen, über den Streit mit Ungarn, die Unterstützung der EU, über sein Verhältnis zu Donald Trump und über die Frage, ob es eigentlich noch etwas von seinem alten Leben als Schauspieler in ihm gibt und wie oft er sich vielleicht auch erlaubt zu träumen von Vergangenheit oder von Zukunft. Es ist ein ganz besonderer Sonderpodcast, den ich euch sehr ans Herz lege. Das ist der Politico Berlin Playbook Podcast am 11. März. Ich hoffe, ihr habt viel Freude an dem Podcast und gewinnt etwas Erkenntnis. Wir starten jetzt. Mr. President, thank you for having me here in the President's Palace. Mr. President, the war in Ukraine goes on for almost 1,500 days. Now, the world looks also at Iran and that crisis. Do you feel like there is an immediate change in focus for your war here in Ukraine?
Thanks so much. First of all, thank you for your coming. It's so important. Really, the focus on Ukraine is very important. And using this opportunity, or journalists, famous journalists, all the journalists from different countries, when we have them in Ukraine, when you can come and speak about Ukraine, just speak what you see. No messages from us, something specific or something special. For us, it's more about how to show wider what's going on, people and the world not to forget that. What does it mean, the aggression of Russia? Answering on your question, of course, we need focus on Ukraine. We need to hold this focus. And of course, in any way, when you have another big challenge in the Middle East, a new war, and of course, some kind of shiftings from Ukraine's focus is going on. This is what we see, of course.
You see immediate consequences. Patriot missiles are being used that you could have used here in Ukraine also to defend yourself. Also the debate and factual lifting of sanctions against Russian oil is something you must look at with a lot of skepticism.
I agree with you and a little bit not, because it's a pity about our partners, with all respect to them, they didn't give us all this package what Middle East has. For example, all this package with Pact 3 or Pact 2. We are very thankful to partners that they gave, or European partners who could buy from the American side missiles, but it's not enough. And all this big volume of Pact 3 missiles for Patriot, all this Middle East, they had it, be very honest. And of course, so this is not because of this war in the Middle East, such deficit of missiles, not because of this, but you're right that we will have this challenge. Now we have not big number of missiles, but I think this war will have influence on decreasing the number of missiles, decreasing all the opportunity to get more missiles for Pact 3, Pact 2. This is really what we see. And as you've been totally right about sanctions, this is a big risk for the world, for Ukraine, first of all, and for whole world. Such decisions, I hope that totally they will not put off the sanctions, yes, but we see the first signals of thinking about some less sanctions on energy, first of all, oil, Russian oil and gas. Yes, and I hope that they will not do it. I mean, Americans. I know that they think about it, but it's a big challenge. It's a big risk for us and for all the infrastructure. If you are the aggressor, and if the world is stopping you not by forces, by sanctions, so and if it's the question of time, not the question of peace, it means that in 4 years of the war, you can be all these 4 years under sanctions, and then just one or another energy critical moment like we have now can really delay all the sanctions. This is a big risk.
Throughout the 4 years, you have been in difficult situations, and sometimes I saw speeches of you or video clips that you sent out that I found were very special moves in a very special situation to get into a more favorable situation. One of those moves to me seemed to be that you offer the skills that you have in Ukraine for the attacked partners of the US in terms of drone defense. Is this something that can maybe pave a way and give you the opportunity to be a partner in that particular field?
I hope so. So first of all, we spoke about it in Munich conference, in Davos, and before, during last 1 year and a half, I shared the idea of common forces, common European defending forces. It's not about any kind of offensive or any kind of involvement other soldiers of other countries to the war here in Ukraine. No, I spoke about defending lines. I spoke about how to close the sky in all the Europe. We have such understanding what to do. We have such technologies and we have such experience. And this is exactly this we propose the United States in our drone deal. We wanted to sign drone deal, big drone deal with the productions of the United States, but we needed very much the exception from the White House. Yes, it's all about different kind of drones, different kind of air defense. They work in one system and they can defend hundreds or thousands of Iranian Shaheeds and missiles. We didn't have yet opportunity to sign this document. I hope maybe American friends will be closer to this question, especially after such challenge what we see in the Middle East. But yes, the countries of Middle East on the level of presidents, they asked Ukrainian side to share our knowledge, our experience, and maybe some technical resources. And 3 of our teams, they are already on the way to these countries.
At the same time, of course, independent from that, you need financial support. You're waiting for the 90 billion loan from the EU, which is not released, particularly because there's a conflict within Europe, but also between you and that person. I'm talking about Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. Now, what happens if you don't get that money released?
First of all, of course, we send our groups to Middle East, and of course we hope that they will help us with some missiles, 4-pack, 2-pack, 3. You just have to know about it. The second point, of course, we count on money. We need money for our internal production, and I think it's very important for us and for Europe. So it's not the conflict between Hungary and Ukraine, the conflict between Europe and Hungary, and even correctly to say between Europe and Hungarian Prime Minister, because it's not about Hungarian society. So this is not just a conflict. It's not about one reason or another, because the Prime Minister of Hungary, he blocked all this way of sanctions policy during all this year. He blocked transit of weapon through Hungary. They never helped us with military support. From the very beginning of this war, they said about clearly that they will not support Ukraine, because they have real friends in Russia, strategic partners. That's why they blocked everything during all this way. That's why it's not something personal. It's not about personal. It's about all Ukrainian lives and security of Ukraine and security of Europe. And that's why, if this is not a conflict, if there is a different way of life, because Russia is an enemy. They began this war without any kind of understandable reasons. They began the aggression, and they have allies.
Mm.
And they have North Korea, they have also Belarus, not even society. I'm about the regime of Belarus, because the war began from the territory of Belarus, the full-scale war. Then they have, it's a pity they have China, which is supporting them, helping them. Yes, it depends on what volume of these machineries or weapon, but I mean this, we understand that they help them in sanctions policy, how to circumvent the sanctions. And of course, Hungarian Prime Minister, he helps
You
Russia.
think he's an ally?
Yes, of course. I think yes.
So what do you do if he's an ally?
What does it mean to be ally?
Mm.
What does it mean?
Well, it means you stand on that side, you support the policy.
He's standing on the side of Russian leader. He's doing the same, blocking everything for Ukraine. Only one thing he doesn't do today, he is not attacking by missiles or drones our territory, and he is not sending his soldiers. Yes, this is only one thing, but he's blocking money and blocking weapon, blocking our way to EU, our way of life. Yes, and also with Russian narratives, he's sharing the same narratives. He personally is doing this. So it's not up to him, because he's one of the leader of EU. It's the question of EU. That's why I think that the dialogue between EU and him.
It's a veto principle, so he's very powerful. You must have a plan B if that money doesn't come, do you?
It's a question of security of Ukraine and Europe. That's why, yes, you're right, but partially. We need plan B, I agree with you, but not we. We and Europe.
Mm.
We all need this plan B. I think that if our European partners and real friends, they know that we defend not only Ukrainian values, we are defending freedom of all Europe, if it's a fact. And if it's true that our partners shared with me personally and publicly with people, so it means that it's a big challenge for all of us.
Great diplomacy is probably needed to convince Hungary to unblock the funds. Do you think you have found the right words in the recent days towards Prime Minister Orbán?
It's difficult to say because we are not speaking. He was invited by me, our country invited, and Slovak Prime Minister. By the way, with him we spoke by phone. I invited him and he said, yes, we have to fix the date. And then he disappeared. But also Hungarian Prime Minister, he was invited also by me to visit Ukraine. I said it to also Slovak Prime Minister that we can meet bilaterally or we can meet in trilateral format. And as I understood it, what the Euro Commission told me, they want Russian oil. And if Ukraine will not transit Russian oil, they will block money. In such case, if it's blackmail, so I said, okay, we will renovate. If EU doesn't have any kind of signals to Hungarian messages, so we will renovate. I said it to Euro Commission.
But allow me to follow up, Mr. President. There are people in Europe who say you reached maybe not the goal that you wanted to reach by insinuating that you would share address of him. And some people say you helped him in his election campaign. Isn't that something that maybe went too far?
I'm not thinking about his elections. I think that he has long political life. I'm not sure that my messages had influence 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I think I was not in the presidential cabinet all these years, but he was the prime minister with all his rhetoric against EU. And I didn't see strong messages from European leaders who can stop this person who is dividing EU. So I'm not sure that in this case, diplomatic silence is very helpful because we see his way of life. We are defending our life, defending our country. If he doesn't want to support, it's up to him. But he can't be against us because he is immediately ally of Putin. It's not for me. It's for all our people. And this is where we are.
The core of the conflict is Druzhba-Pipeline.
No, it was before Druzhba.
Mhm.
No, it's what Orbán tries to increase this topic about pipeline. No, pipeline worked. We've been against. I was from the very beginning against to sell Russian oil because it's the policy of politics of two standards. Yeah, we are fighting against Russian aggression, but at the same way we have to sell this oil because we had in the past such decisions. That's why I think it's two standards policy. I'm against it, but I couldn't be against it judicially. And when Russia destroyed this pipeline, I said, okay, but it destroyed it. Why we have to renovate it again? This was my position. But again, it's my personal position. It doesn't mean that this is the reason. Prime Minister blocked weapon transit through Hungary. It was last logistic ways. Then he blocked some Russian personalities. He was blocking oligarchs, Russian oligarchs. And now in this new package also, they try to cancel the surname of Russian oligarchs again and again. And also they always blocked sanctions about any kind of Russian energy. During this war, they had so many meetings in Moscow with Russian enemies, for us enemies, and they always said that it's their friends and partners. That's why it's not about pipeline.
But would you consider an independent investigation, European investigation on it, that could solve that issue?
We already managed this. I said already, our team told that we will need 1.5 months to renovate one line. If it will be a blackmail that they will not give us money, I mean Europe will not give us money, and they need for this only Russian oil, yes, it's up to them. Yes, it will be possible in 1.5 months. If we want to renovate the reservoirs which been destroyed, and you can see it, you can look at this, everybody tactical group will tell you that we need for this minimum 6 months to renovate this, the biggest reservoir, but we found a way how to manage in 1.5 months. It will work. It will be dangerous for our ecology, but it will work. It will be dangerous if it will be destroyed again by Russians. But I can't tell you exactly that it will be, but it was several times, not once. After the first time when pipeline was attacked by Russian drones and missiles, not Hungarians and not Slovak, they didn't speak with Russian. Publicly, we didn't hear that they asked Russians not attack this pipeline. No, they only asked us to renovate and renovate it again.
Der Streit mit Viktor Orbán ist ein tiefer Streit, das merkt man Wolodymyr Selenskyj an. Aber was müssten eigentlich für Voraussetzungen geschaffen sein, damit es Frieden in der Ukraine geben könnte? Was braucht er und welche Rolle spielen vielleicht Sicherheitsgarantien? Das habe ich im nächsten Teil mit Wolodymyr Selenskyj besprochen.
Of course, people are tired because of the war, because they are surviving, but in a very human way, you know. They didn't lost this dignity, yes, and they didn't lose themselves, and that's why I think this is so important that people are ready for the peace. They want peace, of course, but they are not ready for Russians' ultimatums. And it's not about this pressure. It's about the question of to be fair, yes, between us. So, and I think that people didn't lose their values and didn't lose this feeling of real life, freedom, and even in such difficult circumstances. That's why I think that, yes, the moral, yes, people are tired, but the moral are on a high level in any way.
What do you think you can achieve on the battlefield? We have seen gradual changes in terms of territory, but not significant ones. Where do you think this can go?
Today we want to end this war in a negotiation way, in diplomatic way, And that's why we have to hold front. It's not about big offensive operations. Yes, we've made some steps, offensive steps. They've been successful at the end of the last year and at the very beginning of this year. Yes, we brought back the control on 430 square kilometers. But I mean, this is some operations on the battlefield. How better hold the front line? It's all about it, because we are preparing and we are ready for diplomatic way. It's not the question what Russia has. Their goals to occupy us.
Mm-hmm. President Trump told my colleague Dasha Burns that President Zelenskyj doesn't want a deal. Is that true?
What do I think?
A deal means you have to be willing to take compromise. Are you?
I think Ukraine demonstrated a lot of compromises already. The first one, they killed so many people. They began this war. Now, President Trump didn't raise the questions of accountability. And nobody speaks about it. And of course, we speak about it. And everybody's trying to forget about already occupied territories, about the part of this war which began from the occupation of Crimea and the part of Donbass. Yeah, so they are trying to find compromise between us, to sit with Russians, to support ceasefire, what President Trump's team proposed in Saudi Arabia 1 year ago. Already 1 year ago, we supported this. Was it a compromise from our side? Of course. To stay where we stay and they don't move back to the Russian land. Is it not compromise? I think it's a very big compromise. Don't forget about such big number of losses. The biggest compromise was at the very beginning of Trump's term, when he said that, look, we have to stop and freeze the conflict, we need ceasefire, and then everything will be after, in diplomatic way of negotiations. And they said that if you will not stop, I think it was the biggest compromise on what all our nation been ready and ready still. So, but after such compromises, it's not enough for Russia, and they wanted more and more. It's slow occupation. It's not about the compromising way of life.
Do you believe that the peace negotiations that are happening, that have happened in the past month, that they will lead anywhere?
What we have. We have our life, and of course we strengthen our soldiers. We try to manage economy, pay salaries, and not ready to give our country to Putin. And that's why, of course, we need negotiations. We support them. Can I believe in or hope? It's not about hoping. It's not about trusting to Putin. We don't trust Russia, but I think and I trust that Americans really want to finish with this war. I hope that they will help us, but we need more pressure on Russia, not on me.
Sometimes I think how hard it must be for you to, set for yourself maybe a goal that you want to achieve. And then maybe you have to consider to give away a part of Eastern Ukraine or a part of the territory to achieve peace. And you must go through these thoughts and define something for yourself that is thinkable and that is unthinkable. Do you have answers on that? What is unthinkable for you, or what would be a goal where you would like to be at some point?
I'm not in the position where I have to think how to find compromise and which will be okay for all the sides around me, for different groups of people. I'm the president and I have to defend the constitution, have to defend the independence of my country and my people. All my steps are basing on such principles. And it's very clear for me. It's not so difficult for the person which understands very clearly what we have to do.
Do you believe in a sooner end of this war, this year or next year?
We will do everything from our side to finish this war as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not everything depends on us. It's a pity. And also it's a pity, but we have to recognize more things depends on Russian will. They're aggressors and they're big, and they don't now propose and show the will of ending the war as quick as possible. They want to pay us for this war, so to pay us for his aggression. I think to pay us for Putin's mistake. And this is not fair way how to end this war, because it's dangerous. If to finish the way how you said, to withdraw from our territory, I think it's a big risk and maybe historical mistake even, because we will give them very, very strong fortifications. We will give them very strong defending lines, and we will give them moral. You spoke and asked me about the moral of the people. Yes, as I said, people are tired, but the moral is high. But if our soldiers will withdraw by our will, by themselves, will withdraw from our territory and will lose their friends, their homes, because a lot of them from those territory, and will lose their relatives and memory, I think that the moral will decrease immediately. Of all the people, all the soldiers.
Even if you get peace in return?
Yes, because you don't know what you will get. It's just words. Words from Putin, so that he will give us peace. Who can trust him?
What if there are strong security guarantees supported by the Europeans?
NATO.
International troops?
NATO?
NATO?
No.
This is the one security guarantee you would accept?
Yes.
The only one?
No, not the only one. What about, do we trust or not? Or in what we trust? We look at the NATO countries. Not all of them are very strong, but there is no war in NATO. Yes. Yes, it's true. We don't know what will be tomorrow, but for today, there is no NATO country in the war. God bless, of course, but there is no. We are in the war. Yes, it is. And if we will have security guarantees from the United States, this is great. I'm not even comparing with NATO. It's not about it. I believe in it. Like, for example, President Trump told me, do you trust that our security guarantees can be stronger than NATO? I said, yes, it depends on you for today. It depends on you, Mr. President. God bless if we will have stronger security guarantees than NATO. But what will be after you? And what will be after me? Who will give this word? Maybe another team of the United States will say, we are not ready to continue such security guarantees.
Mm-hmm. But this is an ongoing problem, no matter at what point that war might end.
This is the most big problem after the problem of the war, what the security guarantees will be given to our nation. Because you can trust that the war will end or not. You can't trust Russia. You can only trust the fact of security guarantees. If in security guarantees, in a list of these security guarantees will be written and then voted in parliaments of the world, in Congress of the United States, that in the case of repeating of the aggression of Russia, the troops of allies will come and will defend Ukraine. Yes, it's strong security guarantees, but we are not speaking about it. You also have to know, when we speak about security guarantees, it's not about the question that the troops of the world will come and will defend Ukraine. No, we are speaking that Ukraine will defend itself. Of course, we are raising the topic, what about our American allies? What they are ready to do, or Europeans with backstop of Americans. But for today, we don't have clear answer. Be honest. For us, it's very important, but we don't have clear answer. And still, I'm repeating, we don't want to involve anybody to any kind of war, any kind of losses. We don't want it.
You don't even ask for international troops supporting security conflicts?
No, we asked about forces who will control ceasefire and who will come after ceasefire, and they will come and will stay. But I think that the question is not only to me and my people, our army. I think all these forces also will have question to their generals and to their countries. What is the mandate? Of course, we stay, but if Russia will begin again the aggression, what these guys will do?
Do you think there will be a Russia after Putin where that situation might improve for Ukraine?
I know that a lot of people will not agree with me, but I think yes. I think this war is Putin, and I think it depends on his own will. I'm sure that he concentrated all the power during dozens of years. I think it's difficult to control such a big country by the person, even with the experience of Russia, and but I don't know. I'm not sure that in the short term it's really somebody can control everything like Putin controls now. So that's why I think it's difficult to have another Putin with the same skills and with the same possibilities. It doesn't mean that it will be some person with another view, worldview, and other values. No, I'm not sure. I don't trust. I think will be somebody the same, but I'm not sure that it will be this so strong to control everything. That's why another person will think about his internal challenges.
I'm trying to ask a question to the human Volodymyr Selenskyj, who's sitting here. Do you hate Vladimir Putin?
Of course. I think we hate each other.
So Trump is right. These guys hate each other.
In this, yes, he is right. Not in everything.
But how can there be a peace deal? How can there be a peace deal at some point between two people who hate each other?
Nobody is saying that somebody will give each other friendship. No friendship. He's a killer. He tried to occupy us and kill so many people. And we answered to them, and he lost a lot of soldiers. So it's understandable, the attitude, but we need peace. The peace, it's not emotional thing. The hateness, it's about emotions. The peace is very specific document which can give our people possibility to live and to stop the war. That's why this is the priority. It's not about personal attitude. It's not about personalities.
Ja, Selenskyj gibt die Hoffnung auf den Frieden nicht auf. Aber gibt es eigentlich in ihm noch den weichen Kern, den Menschen, der mal Comedian war, der sich vielleicht auch mal zugesteht, zu träumen von einer besseren Zukunft oder von der Zeit, wie es früher war? Wie viel Mensch gesteht sich eigentlich Volodymyr Selenskyj noch zu? Das und einiges mehr, das wollte ich von ihm im letzten Teil dieses Gespräches wissen.
It's another life. Really, another life. So, there's two countries, two neighbors. We had a lot of things. These common families, that a lot of different relatives, both sides, and businesses, and I think that these governments lived in other reality, and people, and just everything was different.
Do you sometimes dream about your old life?
No. I'm thinking about future.
So it's really a cut, and the performer, the actor, the comedian Selenskyj has completely vanished?
I'm not thinking about it. I'm focusing only about today and the challenges of today, and thinking about future, how to end this war. And it's about surviving. It's not about dreams. I don't have too much time for this.
You don't allow yourself to dream?
I don't have time to relax. Not too much.
It can give yourself moral.
Believe me, I'm very okay. I knew a lot of people who, after 2014, after occupation, and we had a lot of talks, dialogues, relations, and etc. And the situation of occupation of Crimea so changed them all. So for me, they are not partners, friends, no even human beings. So for me, it's something in the past. So the situation of occupation, they supported the occupation of Crimea, they supported this war to kill. I mean, how normal people can support to kill somebody? Even if you don't like somebody, you don't like the messages of this person or the face or etc. But how can you kill? So this is a big question. And those people who are in the past, I mean, they supported. Some of them went to the war and just began to fight and kill our people. So what attitude I have about them? The same what you spoke about Putin, the same attitude.
Mm. Do you think there will be a future in peace in Ukraine that you will realistically see soon?
Yes. Russia is not so strong, and I think now everybody understood it. Yes, they're a big country, big army. It's understandable, big production, etc. A lot of people whom they don't think about. This about their life. They move them and throw them to the battlefield, even not trained, well trained, but in any way. So they didn't help Syria and they didn't help enough Iran. They didn't show that they are strong allies. All their strong soldiers are dead or on the territory of Ukraine, attacking and fighting against us. That's why it's not enough to be in a very long war. Not enough. Something has to change. If United States, Europe will be very strong, if will not balance in some cases, which we discussed today with Russian oil, Russian gas, if people will be strong as principles, what about they speak? And pressure on Russia will be strong and clear for everybody. First of all, for themselves, and then for Russians. Very clear that the world is against aggression. If all these things will work normally, not even 100%, normally, the war will end as quick as it's possible. In other way, it will be longer than we estimate or normal people really want to end it tomorrow or the day or yesterday, as we say, but it will be longer in this case. But in any way, Russia doesn't have enough power to occupy us. Doesn't have.
And you see a peaceful future as part of the EU?
Of course. Of course.
Do you have a date in mind where you think you
I don't know. We have, like you said, about dreams. We had some dreams. I said that I asked all our diplomatic and parliamentarians and all our management what we need to do, any laws, reforms. Let's do it as quick as possible, etc. Be ready. And we ready. We put to the plan that we will be ready from our side in 2027. But it depends on unanimity. It depends on the leaders of EU, not on Ukraine. I just wanted to prepare, and of course the date is very important. Otherwise, sorry that I'm repeating this, but it's true. Otherwise, if we will not have the date and we will not have signs of the leaders of powerful countries that they will accept this date, Putin after the war will block our way of life, our choice of be a part of EU, I'm sure.
Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I hope to see you again here, maybe in a year, and to see some progress on this end. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Das war der Sonderpodcast aus dem Präsidentenpalast hier in Kiew in der Ukraine. Ich hoffe, ihr nehmt ein bisschen Erkenntnisgewinn mit. Ich hoffe, euch hat das Gespräch gefallen. Und wenn ihr Lust habt, dann würde ich mich wirklich sehr freuen, wenn ihr mir eine Bewertung hinterlasst bei Apple oder bei Spotify. Nicht nur, weil das auch für mich ein ganz, ganz besonderer Podcast war, vielleicht auch der besonderste Moment in meiner journalistischen Karriere, sondern weil ihr damit auch wirklich diesen Journalismus, dieses Podcasts und auch von Politico insgesamt unterstützen würdet. Wenn ihr Lust habt, das Gespräch nochmal zu sehen mit allen Bildern, dann empfehle ich euch die Websites von Politico, politico.eu, politico.com oder eben mit einer deutschen Übersetzung in einer etwas kürzeren Version auch auf Welt TV. Die Links dazu, die lege ich euch gerne in die Shownotes. Mein Name ist Gordon Repinski, das war der Berlin Playbook Podcast mit einer Sonderausgabe hier aus Kiew, aus dem Präsidentenpalast. Es ist der 11. März und ich wünsche euch einen schönen Abend. Wir hören uns morgen zu einer regulären Folge des Berlin Playbook Podcast wieder von Politico. Macht's gut, bis dahin und tschüss.